What is up, my fellow car nerds? I had another fellow car nerd reach out to me, actually about his truck, not his car. Said it's running a little bit lean. It's an '08 Silverado. I want to say it's like 213,000 miles on it. So the rings are just now getting broken in. And he's saying it's running a little bit lean. And he showed me his log, and sure enough, a lot of red in here. So he asked me to help him out on the airflow modeling, and so I told him I'd help him out. So I figured I might as well make a little video about it. Um, so hopefully this you maybe you gain something from it. The vehicle is completely mechanically stock. I mean, not even a wideband sensor on this thing. The tune has been dickered with just a little bit, just a few things turned off. But here, looking at the VE, it is red. If we look at the MAF, also red. Oh, I have it on count. Um, MAF doesn't look to be quite as bad, but still red all over. So, if we hop over here to the tune, this is a compare file against stock. You can see D-Soot's turned off, long terms are turned off. Cat over temp is turned off. And if this was a stock vehicle, I would turn the long terms back on. I don't think there's a reason to keep them off. Decel and then clutch fuel cutoff both turned off. And DOD has been turned off as well. So otherwise, completely factory tune and vehicle. So let's dig into this a little bit. And I thought, you know what? Maybe we'll kick this old school. We're just going to raw dog the VE table here without the virtual VE assistant. I thought about maybe doing it raw dog and then comparing at the end just to see, but I'm like, let's just let's just kick it old school. I like to do that. So the first thing, we'll start off with virtual VE. Now, first of all, here's the long-term trims. There is zero. I always kind of like to scan across here, and you can see the short terms are changing, but long terms are locked on zero. So we know for a fact that they are not turned on. So for the formulas I'll be using, we'll be using just the short term. Like you can see, I have short term and then short and long term. Same thing for here. So let's start off with virtual VE, and maybe we'll just create a new one from scratch. So if we look at this, and the reason I say we'll start from scratch, rather than editing this, maybe we'll try to make this a learning thing. The breakpoints we have here for our map probably aren't going to match up to this file. And same thing for RPM. So let's get into it. So we're just going to go to layout. We're going to do add to layout. We'll just do graph, and we're just going to do this guy right here. And let's just zap all these others. And we're going to hit new, add table. We'll call this VVE, and I'll just do S so we know it's short term. Um, for now, well, we'll just use this. So I'm going to use my filter. So my custom math, I shouldn't say filter. So virtual VE, closed loop, short term fuels only. And then I have another one with long terms in here. So if we look in here, if you ever need these, right, you can just search for this thread. Whoops, let me make that for us hard of visuals here. Tuning MAF and VE at the same time. Here's the video, the original one that I did for this, but you can copy and paste these formulas. So in this case, if you're using long terms, you'd grab this one. Well, you wouldn't want this first part. You'd want just this guy right here. And then you have for power enrichment, we don't have a wideband, so we cannot use the power enrichment. We're only going to be using short term. So if this is MAF, and this is closed loop for VE. And then we also have filters. Don't use the old filters that uses fuel trim cell. There's too many variations among the different generations of Gen 4s that I suggest just using this one in here. So we'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to pick this one, virtual VE closed loop, short term only, and % decimals to cell hits. Let's just say 5. And we're going to do some colors. So we'll do 10% is our max. And -10 is going to be green. I know some of you are red-green colorblind. It's hard for me to change my ways. So the next thing we're going to do is column axis. So this is going to be our map. So we're going to type map, hit the filter. By the way, hint, hint, HP tuners, this should be checked by default. We shouldn't have to check this every ding dong in time. We'll just pick the SAE. It sounds good to me. And now we need to go in here and just so you know, you can customize these breakpoints both for map and RPM. It does not matter. Uh, I prefer to use the defaults whenever possible, unless there's a reason not to. If you're naturally aspirated, you're going to pick the up to 105 kPa, which this car is not boosted. So then you have 2 and 3 bar. So let's just pick this guy, hit OK. Doesn't look like it changed. That's fine. And for RPMs, we'll just use the default. I don't know that he's banging off, 6,400 RPMs, but I think for our purposes, this will be fine. The important thing is that the minimum RPMs are going to go below your idle because sometimes it will dip and you'll need to get part of that natural fluctuation. And the high RPM should be above your shift points. However, it's kind of a moot point because after 3,800 or 4,000 RPMs, it goes to MAF only anyway. But we still need to kind of calibrate VE. I don't want to get into all that. So we'll pick that and hit OK. So we'll right click here, column axis, and we're going to copy labels and go here and pop those in. Did I think I jacked that up. Column axis, did I? I don't know what I'm doing. It's late, dudes. Well, 10:30. I'm old. Maybe that's the problem. We'll do map. Again, I have to click the filter thing. I don't like that. What am I doing wrong here? See, manifold absolute pressure. I guess I do this all the time. I want row axis copy labels, I think. There we go. All right, so we have our map, we have our RPM. The breakpoints now match between our scanner and our editor. You can see we have a little bit of green here, so we have some data that we need to filter out in here. So we want to get rid of all of our transient conditions and torque management stuff and really only capture steady state. So we go back over to this forum post, new filter. We're just going to copy this. And you can see I highlighted this part this is the part that's replaced. We're swapping out the fuel trim cell logic with just commanded EQ equals 1, regardless if um, the evap is open or not. We'll just deal with it. So one thing, we're going to go into tools, math parameters, and we're going to check this. I don't know. Well, I do know. He got this channel list from me, I believe. Maybe I think he may have added some stuff. Either way, it doesn't matter. I don't know the provenance of this log, so I'm going to click on an empty spot, paste it in here, and sure enough, everything is in here, right? None of these are red. So that's telling me that he has all the channels logged to make this filter work. So I'm going to delete that out. And what would it look like if he didn't have it? Well, if we pick something, where's my, oh yeah, right here. So you can see this EQ ratio sensor, that's wideband. So in this case, it's telling us we don't have it. So, but we have all we need for the filter. So we're going to go over here and I'm going to move this out of the way. And when I paste it, you're going to see a whole bunch of cells disappear. Boom, we cleaned it up. All right. We actually have one rich spot. Unbelievable, ladies and germs. Oh, wait, two rich spots. So we're going to copy this. We're just going to do a regular copy and we're going to go here. I like to watch the magic. Make sure you do manifold switch open. I haven't seen a post in a long time on the forums about I'm changing my virtual VE, but nothing's happening. Well, that's because you got to make sure you're on open. So we'll pay special, multiply by percent. Don't ever do half percent. Come on. We're only on this earth a short time. We don't have time for half measures. Go full on. All right. So as you know, my style, I'm always going to interpolate with the grain. That is with map. Never ever across RPM unless I absolutely have to, or it's a short distance. So this is going to work with the intake runner manifold length and exhaust header length and collectors and all that stuff to deal with all the resonance that's going on in there. Plus, you also have the fuel system resonance with the injectors, although probably not on this factory config with, you know, not really taxing the fuel system. So I'm just coloring in here. This is time consuming, but if you want to be a tuner in this digital age, guess what? I'll tell you though, this sure is a lot easier than yanking a carburetor off and draining the gas out every time, dealing with brass jets. Oh, did I tighten it too hard in this little stupid old pot metal carburetor? Did I strip it out a little bit? A little bit of gunk fall in there? Nah, man, this is so easy. You young pups don't even know. How many of you out there have actually taken a carburetor apart and rebuilt it and tuned it? I know there's probably quite a few of you out there, but I also know there's some young pups out here that don't even know what a carburetor looks like. I don't know. It's late. I got to fill in some kind of stuff while I'm doing this. You just don't want to hear me breathing. Okay, almost there. Now, why am I doing this? A lot of people would just copy, paste special, hit calculate coefficients, and then you can see this back half of this. This is the kind of garbage that you'll get. This is not how airflow goes through an engine. Whereas if we zoom in here, you can start to see, hey, looks more like it, right? This is predictable. So we're just going to go in here and we're going to start smoothing them. I always like to raise the low spots. I typically try to avoid lowering anything. Now, especially on this vehicle, because we have a MAF sensor, virtual VE is only going to be tapped on the shoulder to do something during throttle transitions. So you hit the gas, you're going to need a little bit of power enrichment. Well, not power enrichment, but acceleration enrichment for transient fueling and whatnot. And so having a little extra fuel in there is only going to help drivability. Sometimes I will lower the ones that look like they're suspicious. Like there's some ancient Hungarian proverb about the nail that's sticking out is the one that gets hammered by the carpenter or something like that. I don't know how it goes. If you know that one, feel free to post a comment on there. So try to look at it from as many angles as possible and look for the trend, right? I've been messing with VE tables for a while now, and they're frustrating. Um, they just seem to change. So now we can see like this part, right? It looks like a slam dunk. So what I'm going to do is highlight this whole remaining column. And depending on how much I have to raise it, like if I want to do 1%, I'll type 1.01. If I want to do a half percent, I'll do 1.005. And I'm just going to hit multiply and just watch it raise up and see where it joins, which is right about here. I may do it one more time. And then just raise these underlying areas up to them. And I'm not going to be too concerned about perfection just yet because we're going to go over this a few more times. But I just want to get it pretty darn close. Not as close as a thin blonde one, but maybe a thick black Arabian one, if you know what I mean. So you can see like this one, we still have a peak there. We'll deal with that one. It's Friday night. It's late. Uh, let's see here. Oh man, let me back out. So we got this little swoop-de-doo here. I'm not a fan. Um, and this is always frustrating to me. So in a situation like this, I may try to grab it here and bring it down like that. In fact, I may do all of these if I can. These edge ones are always a little bit challenging. And this isn't too critical. I mean, you're never going to be able to reach this area. But if once we get it kind of like that, what I'll do is start raising this. And then we can just straight up old school interpolate. Now here we have a challenge, right? So if you, I'm going to swoop this way to the left over here, but I'm also looking on the left, or, sorry, on the right side, I'm going along with the map, but on the left side, I'm looking where my data ends. And this is, of course, frustrating because you can see over here in the lower map regions, it wants more air, but then it naturally starts to taper off right here. So, what do you do? This is one of those things where you really need to use tap up, tap down. You need to go uphill, downhill at different throttle, positions, and really try to hit these cells and try to predict it. So I am going to make an executive decision, and we're just gonna like do this. I will always err on the side of more fuel. So here I'm going to take that and then we can just interpolate like so. And we have something that looks better, I think. So now we have so much larger areas down here, we kind of need to do the same thing too. And here we are. I always love to see these ridges and ripples. Um, I have some new end of injection target research that kind of sheds even more light on that. But again, time to finish that up and work on that. But it's like everywhere I look, I keep seeing these little resonance ridges. It's frustrating, but I also feel like when you start to see them, you're actually seeing the the real honest to goodness physics of the engine, right? Like it's confirmation that you're on the right track and you're doing the right thing. Just like when you look at a dyno chart and you see those little ridges and ripples without all of the fake smoothing. That's the real output of the engine. And when your VE table confirms it, well, that should be a signal that you're doing right. So here I may just we're gonna try this. Actually, no, we'll do that. So we'll go here all the way down. How's this gonna look? That doesn't look so bad. Nice. Here we are raw dogging this VE table. And I think we're doing pretty good. Pretty darn good. So, we'll do that. This looks all right. And what I may do is grab this whole section here and let's try to raise it. There we go. Got a little ditch in there. See if we can Interpolate right over like a pro. All right. This little lip, I'm going to get hammered. Now I've been working, I haven't looked at the clock. I have no idea how long this has been going on, but I have not calculated the coefficients a single time, have I? So we will test because I always say after you dink around with virtual VE long enough, you should get to the point that after you manually smooth things, it should change very little, right? Like, meaning you should be able to anticipate which way it's going to go. So this is frustrating here. Um, we may just interpolate down. I mean, we had an hour log here. And if I do this smoothing thing, it's gonna scoop it out. I'd much rather it bow naturally, but maybe well, we'll see. Let's interpolate just for now. And this is why, I like using the virtual VE assistant tool because after you dicker around with all this, you can paste your results in and it will tell you how far off you are and where you need to be, which is super handy. So you can basically do multiple calculate coefficients and try to get it where you want it to go. Oh, I like a good challenge. Okay, so the other part is all these guys in here. I wish I would have not, I wish I would have pasted these ones in separately. That's frustrating. Um, so this is entertainment, huh, fellas? We're gonna cheat and raise this dude up. Kind of didn't want to get those other ones, but oh well. And I really don't know where the zones are unless I can kind of just naturally tell, um, just from looking at the shapes that are being generated here. So doing a little bit of guesswork. Actually, what is it gonna do? I think what I'm gonna do is try to get this into somewhat of a shape. Now, I don't like the way that this is rolling down. I would much rather have this kind of a longer arc that goes this way and not just goes deep down. But again, we just have the data that we're given, and I don't know where this zone ends. And and this is of course frustrating. I can't, if I do show zone numbers, I'm going to lose my work. So I think this is the zone probably ends or begins here. Like this is all one zone. So we shouldn't be breaking over here, although we might. Um, what we may do is from here down, let's just interpolate. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat tonight. All right, so that's probably pretty close for a stock cam, I would say. We're not making gobs of power on the high RPMs. And like I said, at this RPMs, the VE's not really even used anyway, so kind of a moot point, but we'll just kind of demonstrate the process here. So we will let it be dragged down. Let's see if that will do it. Close enough, I say. All right. Now, how about this zone goes to like right here, so we will, at least I'm guessing that's where the zone is. Okay, this doesn't look too bad here. This backside's a little bit goofy. And just pick them up, and then I think try to raise that back end like that. We'll smooth it that way just to pop that dude up. And then where is this guy here? There we go. We're getting close. I'm like dying to see what happens when I hit that calculate coefficients. Okay, that looks like we've kind of built it up. We're going to smooth this out now. So I'm going to go down this way and I'm going to hit this smooth button. It's looking normal. And now all these guys, I'm going to do this area first. And we're just going to look like that. Now, obviously, there's different schools of thought on VE. Um, a lot of people will make this artificially smooth. And I'd say that's okay when you're in hybrid mode because the MAF is going to be doing the majority of the work. We're only going to touch the VE for a little bit. Since this is a hybrid deal, that's what I'm going to do. So like this whole row, this 2000 row, I am going to multiply and I'm going to look, right? So it's even. And then I'm going to go the 1800 and raise that just a little. And then we got this dude on the 1400 row. And so I'm just looking for little low spots. Raise the lows to meet the uppers. So like this area in here probably needs to come up. And this is the frustrating. The decel region is always a challenge, I think. It always acts so funky and it always seems like it's so rich. And depending on your driving situation and your driving style, you may just find that your vehicle is using VE instead of MAF in here for the harsh transition. So why didn't that do anything? Oh, wrong one. I wanted this guy. All right, and then we may do Remember, I'm breaking my rule here. I'm going to go against the grain. Just real gentle, just to smooth it out. Now let's see how many hits we have in here. Surprisingly, it looks like the stock can't even dip down into the 400 RPM zone. But in general, 600 and then 25 kPa. So 625, where does that put us? Yeah, so we're in here in the idle region for sure. I may pop this dude up. I'm not sure about this little lip here. What do we say? Smooth that, or maybe we should just raise this dude up like so. Get a little more fuel down low. All right, should we do it? Let's do it. Boom. Calculate coefficients. The shape has not really changed all that much. I'm not a super big fan of this. And again, we know it changed, but did it change for the good or bad? And are we even in here in the log? So this would be like 800 RPMs and lower at 50 kPa. 800 RPMs, 50 and lower. No, we're not even in that region. So this looks like it's an unreachable section. I am still going to smooth it from like, say, 37 to 60. And just boom. Calculate. It's still, I hate it when it does that. Got that little wrinkle in there, but I think that's going to be okay. So probably should clean this guy up here. Um, this is, I always notice these regions here, I think it's just how the combination of RPMs and the map, how you do the regression just seems very finicky. You always end up with these stair steps. I'm not honestly too worried about it. But how do we smooth out Superman's Fortress of Solitude up here? Like, this is crazy. So I've done a few things in the past. So what I would do sometimes is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to paste it in here. All right. And then I will take that and let's do like 1%, so 1.01, and I'm just going to multiply it like so. And then I made this back half here. Let's see what RPMs. We'll just kind of raise this up a little bit. And we're going to smooth it, but kind of need to get a start. And so now highlight that whole thing and give it the old smoothie smooth. And then let's just interpolate down. Watch this magic occur. Loop. There we go. Hit calculate. And there we go. So now we have a much more realistic looking shape. That should be quite a bit. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be a little bit off in a few areas. We should be good. One thing that we can do, we can highlight the whole table. What do you say? Let's just add 3%. So I'm going to hit that. And hint, hint, whenever you multiply a single zone, in this case, we're doing all zones, but if you multiply an entire zone by a number and you hit calculate coefficients, the shape will not change because you're applying an equal amount to all the cells. Now, I do notice this little stair step I'm not a fan of, so I'm going to smooth against the grain like that. I mean, I'm a rule breaker, I know. And there we go. So now we're going to take this whole thing and oh, look at that nastiness. I recently found out, now watch this. This is the exact shape, so we're going to test this. But I recently found, poking around in the bin files, that the zones for the DOD are different. So if I hit calculate, oh, that shape didn't change. But a lot of times I do that and the shape changes because the zone breakpoints are different between DOD and non-DOD. All right, so I'm going to save that. And now let's tackle the math. So we're going to do graphs layout. We're going to do add table, insert or change. And now, well, well, the traditional way is you would take your short terms or short term plus long term if you're doing that. But you would take the short term and then you're going to change, whoops, not parts per million, but percents. Do 2 decimals. So hits, what we do on the other one? 5 or something, I think. Um, and we're going to change this, but let's do this. So now we need MAF, and I have to hit this button again. And we want frequency. And we need to now go to airflow. And we're going to copy column axis, copy labels, and put that in there. So, oh yeah, well, we have 10, red, -10, green. And we can use the same exact filter. So I'm just going to copy this, go here, paste that. And this is ensuring, this is super important for MAF because MAF is only used in steady state. So this filter should um, only give us data that we're in steady state, and the MAF is being consulted rather than virtual VE. So you can see that we have all of this info. Honestly, this should be good enough, I think. Um, but I do like to use my filters, so I'm going to go in here and I can do MAF and hit the filter button again. HP tuners, come on. And so we want MAF closed loop, not that one, but short terms only. The numbers really shouldn't change. And again, all of that is, in this case, it's this formula right there. So we can copy and we'll go in here and we're gonna paste special full percent. Come on. And so you can see that that really gave us a nice smooth curve. So I did a video a while back. This is hiding a lot, just the resolution. So I'm gonna go here from 7200 up, copy to clipboard. I just right clicked Control C. And then I'm going to zero this out. And wow, look at that. That's pretty beautiful. Um, we do have a little ridge here. And of course, I'm going to err on the side of adding a little just to smooth it out. But dude, that's friggin' picture perfect right there. This guy is a little bit high, but I think that's okay. We're going to leave that as is. So I'm going to put these back in. Now we definitely have a ledge, and a lot of times, um, especially, well, I should say, when you have a wideband, right? The widebands are cheap. They're sort of close enough, but they're not as calibrated and high quality as the narrow bands. So a lot of times you will get a disagreement, right? Like maybe your normal driving's here, and then you hit, well, oops, I don't mean that. Let me just say like this, right? Your narrow band kicks in and it's like, dude, you're 5%. And so you're going to get this weird thing. Now, in this case, that would probably be pretty easy to gap, but you're going to want to mind the gap. So in this case, what I'm going to do is over here, I'm just going to kind of glance and just mentally make a note of what these errors look like. So 2, 4%, 5 and 6, 7, 7, 5. And so here towards the end, you can see four, we get a five, five, and we're down to fours and threes. So I'm going to call that as we get over here, this looks like a 4% error. So I'm just going to come here to 72 and I'm going to go, we'll just go up to, I'm trying to look over here, 1200 hertz. And we're just going to multiply this whole thing by 1.04 and bridge that gap. And I don't think that this truck is ever going to get this high in here, but we'll just kind of make it look nice. And so now uh, we've sorted out MAF and VE. Everything is smooth and organic and nice looking. And we should be close. If we wanted to, um, maybe we could multiply this whole thing by 1% or maybe a half a percent to buy us a little bit more. But since we don't have to calculate coefficients, I'm going to say we're pretty good. So we'll send this back to the owner, and hopefully it'll be nothing but sunshine and puppy dogs. And definitely see this dude in the winner circle. All right, dudes, have a good weekend. Bye.